The silence in the bridal suite didn't feel like peace. It felt like the heavy, suffocating pressure before a thunderstorm. I stood there, my hands trembling as I smoothed the lace of a dress that had cost me 3 years of overtime shifts and canceled vacations. Today was supposed to be about me and Elias, but as the door creaked open, I saw the reflection in the mirror, and my heart didn't just drop, it shattered. There stood my younger sister, Elena, draped in shimmering, floor-length ivory silk. It wasn't just a nice dress. It was a wedding gown. She stood there with a practiced, fragile smile, her eyes already brimming with forced tears, and in that moment, I knew the betrayal wasn't an accident. It was a declaration of war.
And while I'm getting started, don't forget to subscribe. This is where we'll find the wildest family dramas, real-life revelations, and stories you won't be able to tear yourself away from.
My name is Clara. For 28 years, I have been the reliable one. I am the daughter who remembered every birthday, the sister who paid off Elena's credit card debts, and the woman who put her own dreams on hold so our mother wouldn't have to sell her house after our father died. I am the backbone, the safety net, the silent observer. Elena, on the other hand, is the sun, or at least she thinks the world should orbit her. She is beautiful, volatile, and possesses a terrifying talent for turning her own cruelty into a narrative of her victimhood. Clara, oh my God, don't be mad, she whispered, her voice already trembling with that high-pitched fragility that always made our mother run to her side. I didn't have anything else that fit, and I wanted to look special for your big day. You're the star. I'm just the supporting character, remember? The room felt cold. I looked at her, really looked at her. She had spent more on her hair and makeup than I had. She wasn't a guest. She was a competitor. Elena, you are wearing a wedding dress to my wedding, I said, my voice dangerously low. Go home and change. Now. I can't, she wailed, the first tear sliding down her cheek. I don't have time. If I leave now, I'll miss the ceremony. Do you want me to miss your wedding? Do you really hate me that much? This was the hook. The trap was set. If I kicked her out, I was the bridezilla ruining family harmony. If I let her stay, she would steal the light I had waited a lifetime to step into. To understand why I didn't just scream, you have to understand our family. Our mother, Lydia, views peace as the ultimate goal, even if that peace is built on the remains of my dignity. Elena has always been the sensitive one. When she failed out of college, it was because the professors were mean. When she lost her job, it was toxic management. And every time, I was the one who picked up the pieces. I remember a Tuesday 3 years ago. I had just received a promotion. I called Mom, excited to share the news. That's nice, Clara, she had said, her voice distracted. But have you talked to Elena? Her boyfriend broke up with her, and she hasn't eaten all day. Can you go buy her some groceries? You're so much stronger than she is. She needs you. That was the mantra of my life. Clara is strong. Elena is needy. Elias was the first person who ever looked at me and didn't see a safety net. He saw a woman who deserved to be carried. He was the one who encouraged me to set boundaries. They don't love you, Clara, he'd say softly during our late-night talks. They love what you do for them. There's a difference. I didn't want to believe him. I wanted to believe that if I was just perfect enough, just selfless enough, one day they would stand up for me. Today was that day, and as I looked at Elena in her white silk, I realized that day was never coming. The music started. The heavy doors of the chapel swung open. I walked down the aisle on my mother's arm, but the gasps I heard from the pews weren't for me. They were for the girls sitting in the front row, glowing in ivory, sobbing softly into a lace handkerchief so that every head turned to see what was wrong with the poor sister. I saw Elias at the altar. His jaw was set so tight, I thought his teeth might crack. He wasn't looking at Elena. He was looking at me, with a mixture of pity and fury. He knew what this cost me. During the vows, Elena let out a sharp, audible sob. "Is she okay?" Someone whispered in the third row. "She's so emotional," another replied. "She just loves her sister so much." I felt like I was disappearing. I was a ghost at my own funeral. After the I-do's, as we walked out, Elena intercepted us before the photographer could even take the first shot. "Oh, Clara, you looked okay," she cried, throwing her arms around me, making sure her white dress blurred into mine in every single photo. "I'm so sorry I was crying so hard. I just kept thinking about how Dad isn't here and how lonely I feel. It was just so much." My mother rushed over, ignoring me entirely. "Oh, my sweet girl, come here. It's okay. Clara understands. Clara, tell her it's okay. Don't be cold." I looked at my mother. "It's not okay, Mom." She wore white. Lydia's face hardened. "It's off-white, Clara. Don't be petty. Don't ruin this night with your jealousy. You have a husband now. Elena has nothing. Let her have this." The reception was a slow-motion car crash. I tried to focus on Elias, but my phone began buzzing in my bridal clutch. It was the family group chat. "Aunt Martha, Elena looks like an angel today. So brave of her to be there despite her recent heartbreak. Cousin Sarah, wait, why is she in a wedding dress though? Isn't that weird? Mom, Sarah, please. Elena is going through a lot. Clara is fine with it. Let's not create drama where there is none." Then a private message from Elena to me, sent from across the room. "Elena, everyone thinks I look better than you. Even Elias looked at me during the vows. Maybe you should have worked out more before the wedding. Love you." I felt a surge of nausea. I looked up and saw Elena dancing with my uncle, spinning so her white skirt flared out, capturing every eye in the room. She was holding a glass of red wine, laughing loudly, her eyes constantly darting to me to see if I was watching. I leaned over to Elias. "I can't stay here. I feel like I'm suffocating." Elias took my hand. "We have two choices, Clara. We leave our own party, or we end this. I'm with you either way. But if we stay, you have to stop being the strong one and start being the honest one." I took a deep breath. I thought about the 3 years of overtime. I thought about the 2 a.m. phone calls where I talked Elena out of emergencies that were just her being bored. I thought about the silence of my father's grave. "I'm done being the safety net," I whispered. "The best man." Toast went off without a hitch. Then it was time for the maid of honor. Elena sashayed to the microphone, her white dress shimmering under the spotlights. The room went silent. "Hi, everyone," she began, her voice quivering perfectly. "For those who don't know me, I'm Elena, the messy sister. Clara has always been the perfect one, the one who had it all, the grades, the career, and now the man. Growing up, it was hard being in her shadow. Sometimes I felt like I didn't even exist." She paused for a theatrical sniffle. My mother was wiping her eyes in the front row. Today, seeing Clara in her beautiful dress, I just wanted to feel close to her. That's why I chose this outfit, to show our bond. Even though Clara told me this morning that she hated me for it, I forgive her, because that's what sisters do. They suffer in silence so the other can shine. The room was deathly quiet. A few people looked at me with genuine judgment. How could Clara be so mean to her sensitive sister on such a beautiful day? I stood up. My chair scraped against the hardwood floor like a gunshot. Clara, sit down. My mother hissed, reaching for my arm. I ignored her. I walked toward the microphone. Elena's eyes widened. She tried to hand it off, but I grabbed it. Thank you, Elena, I said into the mic. My voice was steady. It was the voice I used in boardrooms. You're right. We should talk about our bond. And we should talk about the suffering you've done. Clara, don't. Elena whispered, her face pale. Let's talk about the dress first, I said to the room. The dress Elena is wearing wasn't an accident. She sent me a photo of it 3 months ago, asking if I liked it for a gala. I told her, then it looked too much like a wedding gown, and asked her not to buy it. She bought it anyway. She wore it today, because in her words, and I have the text right here, she wanted to make sure everyone knew she looked better than me. A collective gasp rippled through the room. I pulled out my phone and held it to the projector that was supposed to show a slideshow of our childhood photos. I had spent the last 20 minutes during dinner uploading screenshots to the cloud. Clara, stop this madness, my mother screamed, standing up. No, Mom, you've spent 20 years telling me to be strong, so Elena could be weak. Today, I'm showing you what strength actually looks like. I clicked the remote. The screen behind me lit up. It wasn't a photo of me and Elias. It was a screenshot of Elena's bank statement. The one she had sent me last month when she begged me for $2,000 for rent. Below, it was a photo she posted to a private Instagram account the very next day, showing off a new designer bag and this very dress. Elena told us she couldn't afford rent. I paid it. She used that money to buy the dress she's wearing to upstage me at my wedding. She told me this morning that she hoped I'd work out more so I wouldn't look so bad next to her. The room was no longer silent. It was buzzing with a dark, electric energy. Elena began to sob. Real sobs this time, the ugly kind. You're humiliating me? She shrieked. On purpose. You're a monster. No, I said, looking her dead in the eye. I'm just the narrator. You wrote the script. Elena, I'm just finally reading it out loud. The reception erupted into chaos. My mother rushed the stage, trying to grab the microphone, but Elias stepped in her way. He didn't touch her. He just stood there, a wall of quiet, immovable support. Let her finish, Lydia, Elias said. I looked at the crowd, my friends, his family, our co-workers. I spent $40,000 on this wedding. I spent 10 years being the person you all called when you needed a loan, a ride to the airport, or a shoulder to cry on. And today, when I asked for one thing, just one day where I didn't have to be the support beam, my own family tried to tear the roof down. I looked at my mother. You told me to let her have this. Why, Mom? Why does she always get to have my things? My money, my peace, and now my wedding day? Is it because you're afraid that if she doesn't have me to bleed dry, she'll start bleeding you? My mother stopped. The color drained from her face. That was the truth she had been hiding from. She enabled Elena because I was the barrier. If I stopped helping, the burden of Elena's chaos would fall entirely on her. I'm leaving, I announced to the room. The food is paid for. The bar is open. Enjoy the party. But as of this moment, I am no longer a member of this circus. I turned to Elena, who was huddled in her white dress, looking small and pathetic. You wanted to be the bride today. Elena, congratulations. You're the center of attention. I hope it's everything you wanted. Elias, and I didn't stay for the cake. We walked out of that hall, my white train dragging in the dirt, and we didn't look back. But the drama didn't end there. By the time we reached our hotel, my phone was a war zone. Mom, how could you do that to your sister? You've ruined her reputation. People are calling her a thief and a narcissist online. Fix this, Clara. Tell them it was a joke. Elena, I hate you. I hope you're happy. I'm sitting here in the dark, and Mom is crying because of you. You think you're so much better than us? You're just a bully with a bank account. I sat on the edge of the bed, the heavy adrenaline fading into a cold, hard clarity. I didn't feel guilty. That was the strangest part. For years, I had been conditioned to feel guilt like a second skin. But now, I felt light. I opened Facebook. Elena had already posted a photo of herself crying, captioned, "Some people use their power to crush those they should love." Heartbroken that my own sister chose to attack me on a day that should have been about family. I wore this dress to honor her, and she used it to shame me. Please pray for my healing. The comments were divided. Some of her enabler friends were attacking me. But then I saw it, the shift. My cousins, my bridesmaids, even some of my mother's friends began posting the truth. They posted videos of her behavior at the reception. They posted the screenshots I had displayed. The narrative was slipping through her fingers. 3 days later, I sat in a small cafe with my mother. She looked 10 years older. Elena had moved back into her house because she couldn't face the world, and the constant demands for money and attention had already begun to wear my mother down. "She needs help, Clara," my mother pleaded. "She's talking about suing you for defamation. Just give her a little money to get her own place. It will settle everything down." I took a sip of my coffee. "No, Mom. Clara, please, for the family." "We aren't a family," I said gently. "We're a host and a parasite, and I'm no longer the host." I stood up and placed a small envelope on the table. "What's this?" my mother asked, her eyes lighting up with hope. "A check." "No," I said. "It's the contact information for a therapist who specializes in personality disorders and a brochure for a debt consolidation service. That is the last thing I will ever give either of you." I walked out of that cafe and into the bright afternoon sun. Elias was waiting in the car. We had a honeymoon to catch, a new life to build, and 1,000 miles to put between us and the ghosts of our past. As we drove away, I deleted the family group chat. I blocked the numbers. I realized that strength wasn't about how much you could carry. It was about knowing when to put the weight down. My sister wore white to my wedding. She wanted to be the bride, she wanted to be the victim, and she wanted to be the star. In the end, she was just a girl in a stained dress, standing in a room full of people who finally saw her for exactly what she was. And me? I was finally, for the first time in my life, free.